Hello, boss. Welcome to an episode of Sort of Bossy. I sort of panicked because
The live stream thing came
yes,
up. Yeah.
as soon as I pressed record, we get like a 5 second countdown, and then all of a sudden it popped up like live stream. But I was like, I don't think I
Are we
pressed
live
that.
streaming? Yeah.
Am I live streaming right now?
Yeah.
And where is it going? Because
Right.
where are we live streaming?
Yeah. But no, we're
On
not. And
Apple
it's fine.
Podcasts?
No idea. Yeah.
So if I sounded distracted when I first hopped on, it was because I was panicking
Totally. Yeah.
internally. How are you?
I'm good. I was off last week. So I'm like I wish I could say I'm rested and not. I'm absolutely not, but I had a great week off and I'm here to be back here now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, rest on a cross-country vacation is not probably happening.
No, we went to visit my brother in Vancouver and like it was like go 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 the whole time and not a lot of sleep and then the time zones, and we thought we would be smart and take a red eye, and we were actually idiots for taking a red eye with our kids. So
Did
I
they
just
sleep?
feel like
They slept a little, right?
they
Or no?
slept a little on the flight home. Oakley and I were lucky enough because we sat two and two. We are lucky enough to not have a third in our row, so he was able to stretch out a bit more. But yeah, it just like it takes so long to recover. Maybe because I'm getting old now, and also three out of four of us got colds like on the way there. So then we were
Oh,
like fighting it the whole trip. Still fight, it's just like, oh,
yeah,
this is not restful at all. But we had a great time.
it's just
So
lingering.
it is
Yeah.
lingering, and we're all just tired. And then it was James's birthday on the weekend, so we like had some friends over, and I was like, oh, we really need to go to bed. Like, why are we doing this to ourselves?
Who do we think we are?
I literally I had to crash out right. I told my friends, so like if they're listening, they know this. I had to crash out like right before. I was like, "Why do we have plans? I'm so tired." Like he's like, "I don't know. You made them. Like,
You set this
set
up.
this up." And I was like, "I know. I just like do this to myself every time." But we had a great time, and so now here we are,
Yeah.
back at it.
You'll sleep in
How
your
are you?
head. That's what they say.
Ugh, I am so over that. How are you though?
I
You've
would
been
like to
busy
sleep in
too.
my lifetime. I'm good, except I was telling you I feel like I had a great weekend, and then yesterday at like 4 p.m. I started like feeling like I was getting sick or something. Well, it started before that, but I was ignoring it, which
Totally.
happens usually for a good 24 hours or
Yeah,
so.
you
Just
were
like,
busy.
and I'm like, is this a sore throat and congestion, or is this like pollen, or
Yes, the pollen.
did I just sleep wrong and I
Yeah.
got too much, congestion on one side, and then nasal drip, and then my throat got a little sore,
Yeah.
when I woke up,
Yeah. You can talk
like feeling
yourself.
dry.
Yeah.
But then by 4 p.m., like yesterday afternoon, my voice was starting to sound weak and like, scratchy when you talk. And then by 8 p.m., it was really looking south. I
Yeah.
don't feel terrible today or anything, but I can definitely tell that I got something viral going on
I mean, as we do, there's five children living in your house with
that I'm
you.
hoping
Like,
to fight. But that's the annoying part, is that none of the kids were sick. So what?
no.
And I didn't even have the kids this weekend. So where did I get this?
I mean, if you were starting to feel sick on Friday,
Saturday?
Saturday, you got it from the kids. Like, let's be real here. James
So
and I
I don't even
always
know.
joke, like,
Did
I
I
always
tell
get
you?
them. What?
Oh, go ahead. You go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I always get the most sick because I don't leave the house or do anything, right? Because I work from home and they're all out in the wild. So they'll bring home
Right.
like a little bug and they're like la la la, and it knocks me out. James is like, you need to get like some more exposure therapy to
Exposure to
germs.
the world.
Yeah. But anyway, what were you
Go
saying?
play in dirt, Emily, and eat it,
Yeah.
maybe like when you were a
You go to a
kid.
ball pit. Yeah.
Yeah, go to a ball pit or a
Yeah.
tramp park, but don't go to a trampoline park. That you'll break an ankle, like my daughter.
Yeah. I'm too old for that.
Did it tell you that on Thursday? Maybe I did. Maybe I didn't. I don't know. Coco had a big accident at school and like ran into, like, she was running and fell into the fence at school and had like the
No.
biggest goose egg on her head.
Oh, poor girl.
It was bad. Like they
Did they
were
have to
like,
do the concussion protocol with her?
yes, yes.
Oh, sweet
They were
girl.
like, oh, we've tested her. I don't think she has a concussion, but we're gonna keep watching her. So we were dealing with that last week, but And then apparently I didn't see her this weekend, but my co-parent said it migrated to a black eye now, so she has a black eye from that.
Oh, Coco.
Which I think is pretty
She's
normal,
tough.
right?
Like
Yeah.
she looks like she probably earned that black eye. Like
she
she plays hard, you
she
know.
probably beat someone up, but
No, I'm saying she plays hard, but I mean, also sure, if you can say that.
She probably would beat someone up if
Yeah.
I don't know. So well, so we'll see how that looks when I pick her up today.
Yeah.
I get the girlies.
Keep me
back.
posted.
The
Send me a
girly
pic.
swirlies come home today. So
Yeah.
I have the co-parenting lifestyle, so sometimes I get to rest and then others I don't, which is unfair to the parent who has their children all the time. I understand.
It's just different. It's just different.
It's just different,
We have different battles.
Yeah, not easier, not better, just different. But I do enjoy my off time when I have it. I try to really enjoy it so that I don't like get sad and miss them.
Exactly. Yeah. I think we've talked about this before. I've always been like like it must be like a tiny silver lining is like you do get, if you have split custody, like you do get a little bit of time to yourself, but also like that's because your children aren't with you all the time, and so it's like it's not it's not great, but like in my darkest moments I'm like, dang, that must be nice sometimes. I'm
not going to lie just to make myself sound better.
Yeah.
I will be so honest with you. Like, it's the best part about, well, there's a lot of, positive parts about the separation, the divorce, because of, we don't need to go into we don't need to hurt anybody's feelings here today, but like, it is what it is. That happened for a reason, and there are benefits to that. And one of those benefits is having some off time from your children, And whenever I say that, like, whenever people are complaining about, oh, my kids, it's so much work, whatever, I'm exhausted, I'm like, that is one of the benefits of my co-parenting situation and my divorce. And I also recognize that not all divorces end in a situation where you even have a break. Like, sometimes your divorce or your separation or whatever ends in you have your kids 100% of the time and you're alone all the time, So it's like, yes, I have my kids 50% of the time. Their father has them 50% of the time, which means we get 50% rest time or work time or whatever you want to do with that time away from the children. That also means we miss out on a lot of things because we're not with them 50% of the time. And it also means during my 50% of the time, there's no tag teaming to get any assistance.
It's like you're all on or all off.
Exactly. You're all on or all off. And I know that was a part of our parenting when we were together, is like, trying to help each other out sometimes. Of like, I got to tap out. Like, I'm about to lose my absolute shit on this child, And now I just got to figure it out. So or just lose my shit on them.
Or
just, try your best and forget the rest.
Apologize when you need to and move on.
They say that the most important part is repair. So we'll go with that.
I'm really good at repair.
Yeah.
I've learned I have to be. I've had to learn to be really good at repair because I have a face that like
that they can read.
Read really well.
The children understand what you're trying to say without words.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we have rambled this episode.
Perfect.
So let's dive in.
Okay.
I asked for some questions and I got some questions.
You did.
I got some questions. So here's a question that we're going to answer. I think it has nuance in it, and so we'll speak to some of that. But the question is, when you need to hire multiple roles, let's say an EA, which is an executive assistant for those unfamiliar with acronyms, an ops person, and someone to help with client delivery, but you only have the budget for one, how do you decide who to hire first?
The age-old question.
age old question. We get this question all the time when
Yeah.
we're working with clients. It's something that, who do I hire first? How do
I need
I can't,
everyone. Yeah.
I need everyone and I can't afford everyone. And
Yeah.
so that I usually say, well, what do you mean? Like, and so this is where like the context matters, the nuance matters. And this is where I love to coach with people versus just give them a flat one size fits all answer, because one size does not fit all. And so we'll try to go through some different scenarios on this conversation, just so if you're in scenario A, you might be more aligned with this scenario B, but you're probably going to have to do some work around this as well to figure out what is going to be right for you, right? But when you only have a budget for one, so that is usually the assumption that people make. They're like, oh, I can't afford multiple people, or I can't afford all of these hires. And that's usually because you're assuming your brain goes towards like, oh, I need to hire a full-time person. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
you don't actually, maybe you don't, but maybe the data also eventually shows us that that does make the most sense, is like, you need this one full-time person first, right? But I think people also wait too long to hire because they make this like extreme assumption. Like, we're living in all or nothings, right? Either I have this person all the time or I have them none at all. When it's like, in actuality, you probably waited too long already to hire someone, because you could have hired someone just for even a few hours a week. So it's like, what do you mean by budget for one? Like, you might have a budget for all three if we just split that budget up a little bit differently to figure out not what person we need the most, but what activities do we
Yeah.
need delegated the most, right? And that might help us come up with what the split is for, oh, I need an EA for 5 hours a week, I need an ops person for 5 hours a week, and I need a delivery, for 15 hours a week to help me with client load and things like that. So that's usually where I start, is like, you got to stop thinking in these extremes. And you've probably already been thinking like that, which is why you've waited so long to hire anyone, is that you like, people also think like, oh, but no one will be willing to work for like a few hours a week. I'm like, did you ask? Like,
Yeah.
did you try? Did you
Especially
look?
in this economy.
Oh, in this economy
very much
too.
a
Like,
gig economy.
yeah, like, we're in such a gig economy. There's so much more availability now, especially with remote workers. Like, people are happy to pick up a gig here, a gig there, a few hours a week here, a few hours a week there. It works for people's lifestyles in a way that 10 years ago people weren't really contemplating, right?
Yeah.
But now they are. And so it should be available for you to hire people in smaller doses, which means you can do it sooner. You don't have to wait until you have the budget for a full-time employee. I think also a lot of people get intimidated by the idea of a full-time employee. And so they wait because they're like, I don't know how to hire someone like that. I don't have any HR. I don't know the legalities of it. And it delays the hire.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying you shouldn't eventually figure those things out so that you can do that, but
Yeah.
it could be like less friction if you even just start with a few hours here, a few hours there from this person.
Yeah. The other like flip side of this is, you kind of touched on it earlier, is like trying to figure out exactly what activities you need to hire for and what skills that person might need to have. Because obviously, depending on what client delivery is needed, and that'll be the deciding factor, but this could be one person,
Right.
Like, you might not need 3 different people. This could be one person who has the skills to accomplish like the highest value tasks, because there's a lot of similarity in what is required for like an EA, an ops person, and potentially client delivery. Like,
Right.
there's definitely a world, like Sandy does all that,
Mhm.
and I did
Yeah,
all
well,
that before we hired Sandy, like
Yeah.
Sandy
And
will
it's
go from like booking your travel to like to fixing a due date to like doing
working
client
directly
email.
with a client. Yeah.
Yeah. So like that could be one person, and maybe it is something where we start with one full-time person who like can take the load off you, and then as revenue grows, okay, we are going to break off the client delivery piece and like bring on someone at 20
like
hours a week to do that, and you can do
build that
more of
person.
exactly, or right. So we just need to be a little bit more creative of like, because titles don't matter.
Yeah, so that's what I was going to say is like a lot of times we get wrapped up in these titles or these traditional kind of job descriptions or role description of like what this person traditionally does when we need to think more about, like you're saying, first of all, what activities are we really trying to delegate to this person? Not just this idea of I need an EA, right? It's like, okay, but what is that person actually going to do for you? What are the first three things we're going to get off of your plate and onto their plate, right?
Yeah.
And then we start aligning, okay, well, if we're going to give them, customer support emails as the EA, or we're going to give them your calendar management or whatever, what strengths does this person actually need to have in order to effectively do that? And then we do the same thing for the other two pieces or, whatever else you need for the business. And then we identify, okay, what strengths do they need? Because like you're saying, it might turn out to be that we could find one person with these overlapping strengths that they could do all of these roles, or at least a good chunk of these to get you started, so that you can start freeing up your time to spend your time on more valuable things. So
Yeah.
one of the things that's really important when we start hiring is that the hires end up making the business more valuable, right? It's really
Yeah.
important that we understand that's the whole goal. For most people. For some people, it's just like to get some free time. They have enough money and like they don't care if the EA actually returns on the investment. It's going to return on the investment in other ways. But I
Yeah.
would say the majority of people are looking for this hire to eventually be revenue generating for them in one way or the other, right? And the
Yeah.
only two ways for that to happen typically is either that person is going to be doing things that generate revenue for the business, or that person is going to be doing things that you are currently doing that allow you to free up your time to do more of the higher value revenue generating things. And so
Yeah.
like a lot of people will use this like, oh, if you're doing $20 an hour tasks, by handing them over to someone else to do those $20 an hour tasks, now you're able to spend, everything is more valuable now. And I'm like, but it's
Yeah.
not unless you spend those 3 hours that you just got off your plate, delegate it to someone else. Now you're paying them $20 an hour. Now you have to spend those 3 hours doing something more valuable that is going to generate the revenue that you're paying for this person, and hopefully 10x what you're paying for this person, so that freeing up your time is actually of value to the business and not just costing you more. Because I think people get into this trap when they start hiring and they're like, well, now it's just costing me more, but I'm not actually growing the business. And it's like, well,
Yeah.
then what are you doing with your time? And we can't really put it all on that person unless they're like a salesperson or a marketing, like they have to have a really pretty specific job role for it to directly generate revenue for the business. But
Yeah.
usually that responsibility is going to be up to you, especially in the early days of hiring, is to spend your time in more valuable places to, validate the hiring of these people, right? But it
Yeah.
could be one person, it could be multiple people, just depend in smaller, contracted times, just
Yeah.
so that you're able to get some of these things off your plate. The number one thing I would recommend doing to figure this out is track your time. You got to figure out what is actually on your plate and in what proportions is it on your plate, right? Because you're questioning, should I hire an EA? Should I hire an ops person? Should I hire help with delivery?
Yeah.
And like part of our approach and the things that I teach, like part of it depends, right? Because I might say, well, hire the delivery person because you're spending 20 hours a week in delivery. And if I can get 20 hours a week off your time, that's going to be a big, revenue generator for you. You're opening up more capacity, which means you can take on more clients. Whereas if we hire the EA, you're not necessarily opening up a ton of client capacity for yourself. So to me, that has the most revenue generating opportunity, but it also comes with the heaviest load of delegation and training, right?
Yeah.
Like this person is probably going to need to be trained at a higher level than an EA or even an ops person who's coming in with a more specific skill set that translates, versus a delivery person. They're going to have to learn how you deliver and what your business and the specifics
That
of
takes
that, which is
time.
usually a lot harder to delegate. And
Yeah.
for someone who's been delegating for a while, I'm comfortable with that. But if this is your first time delegating, what I always say is like delegation is like a muscle. And so if you're not good at it yet, don't take something really hard and make that your first project for delegation, because it's going to go poorly, and then you're going to get disappointed and you're not going to continue to build that muscle. Whereas if you start with the 5-pound weights, and it's embarrassing, like everything's embarrassing, like Lila says, but like it's much better to feel silly when you're delegating this like really small task to a team member and they get it right. And then you're going, oh, that's building my confidence that they can do this next thing and they can do this next thing. Like, don't pick up the 100-pound weights to start if you've never delegated before, because then that's just going to tell your brain that, like, see, I knew no one else could do this but me. And that's like the exact opposite of what we want this experience to be like for you. So I think that also plays into it in terms of like, who do I start with? And I'm like, well, have you delegated anything before? Like, is this your first time? What amount of time are you spending on each of these things? Because just because it's the biggest lift off of you doesn't mean it's going to be the easiest to actually effectively delegate. So all of that plays into it, but you have to really have an understanding of where is your time going and in what proportions do we actually need these, these skills for.
I would also say the other thing is, and this is a bit more like on the woo side, but you really have to pay attention to what energetically drains you the most. So you might have 20 hours of client work, but you love it. And it's like the best part of your days. And the 2 hours of admin work is soul crushing. And then you don't do it. And then it causes more problems down the road. So
it may do it, and then it energetically and creatively drains you for the rest of the day. And then you can't do anything else high value, which is me, right? Like if I see a negative email, I'm like, I'm done. I'm quitting.
Or just like me being like, hey, can you just like change this credit card thing? And I'm like, no, she's never gonna do this. You
ruined my life. Yeah.
I'm like, it's game over for the day for her.
Yeah.
And that's fine because that's just like, and I'm like, or let me do it.
Yeah.
So
that's the goal, right? Is like, but you sometimes have to get to the place where you put your big girl panties on and do the thing you don't want to do to get it off your plate, right?
Yeah.
And this I think is an entirely different episode that I was talking about this online the other day, is like, people are so insufferable right now with the AI and like the delegating things to these AI agents, because that's another thing that you could think about doing is like, maybe there are some things within these roles that like an AI agent could do for you. But that does not negate the fact that you, even with an AI agent, you still have to teach this person how to AI agent, whether it's human or AI, you still have to extract the things from your brain and download, you still have to delegate to it the same way, right? Like you would still delegate the same way to an AI agent as you would to a human. And if you're not good at that skill set, or if you're too resistant to, doing the download or getting the things out of your brain or telling someone what the process is, and you're like, oh, it's just easier if I do it myself, then you're going to do that, whether it's an AI agent or a human doing the thing. And so just, as a reminder, like you are probably the resistance to a lot of the getting the things off your plate. And that is going to come up as you hire or bring on an AI agent or train, whether you're training an AI agent or you're training a human.
Yeah.
You still got to train them. Okay.
Totally.
So that's also another conversation to even weave into this, like when you need to hire multiple roles, like, well, maybe some of those pieces could be done by an AI tool. It's an option for you. It's an option for everyone at this point, but there are probably pieces within this that need a human. And so figuring out which ones can I automate, which ones do I need to hire someone for, and how much time do I really need? And that's the other purpose of a time tracking. People hate us when we say like, you need to track your time. But once we do that, it also gives us a really clear, like, oh, I'm spending, you probably have a guesstimate of how much time you're spending on these things. But once we have the time tracking, it's like, oh, well, I'm spending 5 hours or 7.5 hours a week on administrative things. So now I can confidently hire someone for at least 5 hours a week or 3 hours a week.
Yeah.
Or 7 hours a week of administrative things, right? Whereas you don't want to hire someone for 15 hours of administrative things if we don't actually have 15 hours of administrative work right now, right?
Exactly.
So the time tracking is really important, even if you're really resistant to doing it. So,
yeah.
That's all I got for this one. I think it has a lot of nuance, but we gave you some first steps, and try to not sit in that extreme thinking. I would encourage you to like get started sooner than later, and really write down the strengths that this is going to require, and be open to this being one individual, two individuals, could be three individuals, just for smaller pockets of time, versus, oh, I need like three full-time people. You don't, right? We just need to slowly but surely get this off your plate. And in
Yeah.
your freed up time, you need to start focusing on things that are more valuable to the business if you want these hires to be ROI generating for you. That's all I got.
That's all.
Anything else to say to the crew? Oh,
No, that's it.
subscribe,
Yes.
share this with a friend.
Yep.
Give us a review, which is always appreciated and helpful. It helps us, reach more people. And if you have questions or things that you would like us to discuss on the pod, you can go to sortabossypodcast.com, and there's a submission form there.
Mm-hmm.
And if you follow me on social media at Adrienne Dorson, you can also find, our episodes or message me. I'm happy to connect and take your submissions there as well. I know some people message me privately, and I always appreciate that. So
we love the tea, so share.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We always need the tea.
Yeah. We'll see you on the next one.
All right. Bye.